Well, we're going to begin. Is that right? The 60-second Mama Tried Flat Out Friday podcast.
What?
On YouTube and Spotify.
Post
Fantastic.
almost, well, wait, 1 week to the day from the 2024 Flat Out Friday show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, today is Friday. We're podcasting right now on a Friday afternoon. It is, I don't know,
Actually, 1
4
week
o'clock.
later.
What were we doing at 4 o'clock? You know what we were doing at 4 o'clock 1 week ago? I remember exactly what we were doing at 4 o'clock. We were just about to wrap up Heats. And so we were looking at a 3-hour break, which was much needed.
Well, yeah.
You actually took 3 hours?
Actually, we probably finished about 4:30. Pros were slated to go on at 4. And then there was a couple other races after that. But yes, we
Such
finished
a
about
different
4:30.
look or different experience over, from year 1, year 2 versus now, right? Like,
Having that break.
yeah. That wouldn't have existed or even been possible.
Yeah, the energy of the Flat Out Friday event certainly has changed. The very first time, it was hectic, but I remember our show ended at 8:40.
Yeah.
You remember people were still buying tickets? They sat down with their popcorn, and we're like, see ya!
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first one?
The first one was done at 8:40, yes.
No way. Why? Because we sped through the...
We just didn't have a pace. We didn't know. I honestly...
Jeremy was looking at his shoes the whole time.
I just don't even think we had a watch or a clock or...
Anything.
We had heat races. It started at noon, and then there was problems, right in the semis, right into the mains, totally oblivious that there was a sellout crowd watching it.
Yeah. Well,
And
lessons
then,
learned.
Well-
and then we had other times when we were at the Bradley Center. We had a major scoring malfunction. It wasn't going right. Harley Davidson brought in a red hat or a show producer to pace the show. He didn't know we were on Central Time. And he's in the radio, come on, we're an hour behind schedule. All of my maps say we're right on schedule, but I don't know. I'm getting yelled at. Apparently they know something I don't. Let's pick up the pace.
He had his clock wrong.
It wasn't until after the show he's like, oh, we're in the Central Time zone. Anyway.
That didn't get sorted out until the show's finished.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I also want to go back just real quick, if we can reminisce. The first 2 or 3 shows we did without working radios.
Oof.
What?
Yeah. So if you can imagine the stress, just hand signals.
I wonder why you weren't super like fun having Jeremy
that's weird.
during the event.
That's weird. And it's as simple as like, go to the outside, come in, and people are like, what?
Or like,
yeah, start them up, or does that mean stop?
oh,
Yeah. 11. Send out 2.
Yeah.
For all night long.
It's like talking to Jim, our resident deaf maintenance guy.
Yes.
just
It's just
hand
close
signals
enough.
and
Yeah.
reading lips.
I'm pretty good at hand signals now with him. We got a rapport, but with 300 people that you don't know
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
are super stoked and pumped.
Yeah.
To try to do hand signals would be insane.
Yes. To bring it full circle, though, with my sister, I remember I was in the center of the track the year 1, and I went out into the pits, and it was so crazy. People were clawing at me like zombies, like trying to eat my brains. I went back to the center of the track just because it was a safe space, because it was so unorganized back there. I didn't want nothing to do with it.
Well, now if you were to wander around in the back of the pits, people are like, yes sir, no sir, in line, right? Like
great.
It's military kind of.
Yes.
Everybody's set up and dialed, know exactly what to expect, and the newbies, follow along.
They fall in line. I remember just one more final memory of the first year. There at the back door, there was an IOU list. And people walked in through the back door, like, I'll pay you 20 when I see you next, Sam. All right.
Oh, that's
Sam.
cool. At least they're writing down.
And so Mark Martin handed me this, it's like this here, these names on it. No last names.
$8,000 worth of $20 IOUs.
Yeah. Well, okay, that was a fun way to start, just going back a year and even going back a little bit further. But it has been a week, and I think we wanted to try to catch what's fresh. right?
Yeah.
And I think I just have 2 questions. This doesn't have to be an hour, but maybe it will take an hour. I want to know about where you physically were at and physical things that you guys were doing. And then I want to know, where you were metaphysically. Is that a word?
Mm-hmm.
Because things have changed. It's been a long time. Warren, you're cognitively being sober. Can I say that? Or
Let's not say sober. Definitely not sober. Turning the dials back on certain
Yes.
things that I put into my body. Yeah.
You guys both did that in such a serious way. I was like, "What's
Definitely
happening
not
here? Is
sober.
this like a doctor visit or something?" Like, is there, I was looking at you to Brian. Like, dude, are we crossing a legal line or something?
Well, for 9 years, Warren is the winner of the Deepest in the Paint Award. In fact, forever now, it's called the Junior.
Yeah. I definitely was not the deepest in the paint this year. I tried to pull back a little bit and take care of myself because repetitive days with 2 and 3 hours of sleep doesn't work very well. And I started to realize that in my old age.
Well, not only that level of partying, just in your life, you're healthier.
Yeah. I've been trying to get healthier.
Yeah, and you've seen, I don't want to say the light, but you're like, oh, I don't have to drink to have a good time.
Yeah. Well, that's hard for me. I use drinking as it's a social tool for me. So I am transitioning into trying to figure out how to be social without being drunk.
But the thing that's unusual with you, I think, was different than a lot of people, is that you're like, during the week you don't drink at all.
Nope.
Right? You don't even drink really on the weekends. You when there's a show, you go fucking all in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But during the rest of the time, regular lifetime, you don't really partake. You don't have a beer after work.
No, I mean, you totaled up all the days. It's, I don't know, through the year, it's probably a week or 2 weeks of drinking.
Yeah. So then that coil spring's got to unwind somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
So
Yeah, and drinking, as the older I get, the worse it makes me feel. So it gives me a reason why not to do it, right? Like, you can only do it so many times in a row and be like, I can't do it again, So there's other ways to do it, and I'm working on the cocktail.
you should tell that to the Brazilians.
They've mastered the one way, just like a Ramones song. It's 2 chords, and they keep making new records with it.
Yeah,
Yeah, those guys can party.
absolutely.
Well, let's hold on to the metaphysics, because let's wait. I'm finding a couple of things you said interesting, Warren. I got them written down here, but let's pause that. Let's just go through our days, because we're not as connected as I would like. You'd think that in a perfect world, us 3 are up in a box and we're watching things unfold, and we're high-fiving each other.
Yeah.
And we're sharing in an experience together. That's not what happens. We lose. That's our intention, but when it's go time, we get separated with problems and putting out fires.
Right.
Anyway, I think our week started on Monday when we picked up the Indonesians.
Yep.
We were just talking about them.
Yep.
I hope they made it. Did they make it home?
They make it home. They made it home. Yeah.
That's
They're
good.
stoked.
That's cool having those guys here.
Yeah. Super cool. Super cool.
Just to see their thirst and their stoke for what we do.
Yeah.
Weira came out of that museum just in a full kit. You see his new jacket and his hat, and he looked great.
For those guys, it's, and I think this applies to, like, even when we even have people here from the States, but I think that we don't fully recognize the gravity of, like, Milwaukee being the Harley Davidson town, right? Because we grew up here.
Yeah.
And those guys, for them, it's just such a pilgrimage. I said, when I was taking them back to the airport, I was like, hey guys, sorry. It's like, it was the day after the show. And I said, sorry, we didn't have more time to hang out, or like didn't plan something like after the show, spend a couple days in Chicago, fly somewhere else, blah, blah, blah. And they were both like almost in unison. They're like, where else would we go? Milwaukee is what else would we possibly do? It's time to go home. But we saw Milwaukee, and that's what we came to do.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So they were stoked.
We picked them up and took them to Frank's. You ever been to Frank's in Kenosha?
No.
diner.
Little train car diner.
Yeah.
And it was funny. One of the first things they said was, "What is cash for scrap?" What is this cash for scrap? I see it everywhere. Welcome to America. This is Kenosha.
Yeah.
But they couldn't believe the size of the pancakes. I thought them to be pretty cute.
Yep. They were
And
stoked.
the amount of butter on their pancakes. But then Tuesday we did this event at Joey's place, and to me it was a bit of a triumph that Joey, our friend Joey Turbo, who's been with us for a long time, had a serious medical scare, and we still continued to do the mini bike race inside his bar with a thrash metal band playing.
With him there.
With him there.
With him there. It was
And he looked
awesome.
great. He looked better than he did before he went and had a scare.
He does. He looks awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And that band rips.
Yeah.
Force.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
right.
The secret band that we could not announce. I
They
think
were
they signed like a major deal, and they're not allowed to play. Once you sign with the devil, you can't play without a manager getting his cut.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Is that kind of true?
I think that's a ballpark truth.
Okay.
I think that's a overview truth. Whether it's specifically true, let's just say it is.
You know, romanticize it.
They were great. The second song they played was a Poison Idea cover,
Huh?
Plastic Bomb.
Deep.
I was
cut,
fucking
Scott.
stoked. I was just like, I'm like on the side, just like, yeah. it was so great. Just like all those bikes in an area as big as this studio, right? The track was basically this big,
Basically.
with a pool table in the middle as the ghoul.
That's
Everybody
awesome.
was fucking
Cool. That's right. Did not get hit.
Yeah, that was a spot to be. I just sat at the end of the pool table and watched
I know.
everybody
I love
roll
watching
past.
you guys. It was great. And you had a new assistant.
I have one of my students.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And he was stoked.
I searched for Stoke. I think that's why I am a teacher. That's why I do these events. And he has plenty of that.
He's got a lot of stuff.
He's got a lot of Stoke. But sometimes you can be too stoked.
How are you going to manage that stoke?
Well, he's graduating soon.
It doesn't matter.
And he's going to bring the Stoke into the world. So look
Is
out,
he-
world.
Is he looking for a full-time Flat Out Friday Stoke manager position?
If he's listening or watching, and he needs to decide, does he want to race or does he want to be an official?
Right.
Yeah.
Same thing for Andy Clark. Okay? Because you can't be both.
He's straddling the fence.
Yeah,
here.
you can't. It makes it weird for everybody.
Courses and wins them every time.
Yeah. How do you set up your own course and then win it? And how do you flag your own race and win it? Well, I want Tyler to figure out a side.
Yeah. Well, it's cool to see him stoked like that.
Yeah.
You know, and
Super pumped.
To see a kid, right? Because I still believe that motorcycles are empowering. This is just one of 100 ways.
Yeah.
Getting
Yeah.
him to flag.
Yeah.
And
How did he do it? How do you do it as lap count?
he gets flustered, and I think with anybody he needs confidence. Everybody just needs confidence.
Yeah.
You're not going to quit. You can't quit. I know you're about to cry or whatever, but you stay with me, and when you're done, you feel 2 inches taller.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, with a guy like that, to hit those highs and those lows and then come out of it on the other side unscathed, or you come awake out of it and you're like, oh, okay, that was fun. Let's do it again.
Yeah. So his lap count, he can get flustered, but he's getting better.
Good.
I
It's cool
would-
seeing him ride around the pool table with Andy pushing him around us. It's pretty cool.
Great.
Yeah.
I wish I would have taken a picture of the Indonesians because they had no idea what they were walking into. and they, because there was nowhere to stand or anything else, they ended up just being on the stage, like right next to the guitar player, like at the base of the monitors. And fucking just getting just thrashed out, and there's these fucking motorcycles like 4 inches from their faces, and they were just like, it was like if terror was pleasurable, that was that look, that just like, I'm gonna die, but this rules. and they came away from that night just like
Yeah, I saw him just chain smoking out on the
Super fans.
sidewalk, just trying to like smoke, get calm.
process. They just been
But then
through.
we broke it, right? Like, we broke the
against the rev limiter.
Yeah. And then they started smoking. Like literally, like like a blown gasket. Too much RPMs of stoke.
Yes.
All right.
It'll
Well,
get time.
but let me get just even metaphysical with that event. What does that say to people? That what are we saying to people by doing an event like that?
What, Joey's?
Yeah. What are the optics of that? What is that? That gets seen around the world, and what do people say?
I think it sets a precedent for the week, right? It allows people to realize that, hey, you know, I have to decide whether I'm going to have fun or I'm going to have to, you know, lay back in the cut and take it easy, right? It makes them decide moving forward worth it, or which direction am I going?
What do you mean, as a participant, as an out of towner?
Well, I would consider everybody that comes to Milwaukee a participant, right? There's different levels of participation of being on a motorcycle or bringing a motorcycle, but they're all part of the experiment, you know. And I think that the show and doing an event like that really sets the cadence for the week, and it gets people stoked, and it's like, you know, it brings people together, and because when you do unique things like that, like everybody's sharing it, everybody's like, what the fuck is going on? I like this. I don't know what to do. High five, you know.
Yeah.
Let's get another drink. What's your name? How you doing?
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It definitely sets the tone.
Yeah.
Deep question, Brock. What else you
Okay.
got?
Well, here's another deep question. We did it twice. Do we do it a third time? I mean, do you do it again? Do you create tradition, or do you
At Elwood's?
throw a grenade? Or do you throw a grenade in?
At
there?
Promises.
At
Promises.
I think Promises is like a hit.
All right, so you keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
all right.
you know, like we do or have done in the past, maybe some alterations to it to give it a slightly different look. But, you know, what if the next one's through the door, down the stairs, up the stairs, down the door, through the door, up the stairs? You know, we've done a couple races through the bar
Sure.
or through bars. I don't know. It's just, but even if it was a circle track and a thrash metal band, I think everybody would be cool with
I
that.
think everybody would be cool with that.
Thrash metal band on the pool table.
That's
Yeah.
not a bad idea. And then the stage becomes part of the track.
Make it a berm.
There you go.
Okay.
Make
All
it
right.
a big wooden berm.
We have one
You
of
gotta go
those.
high.
They're in the shop.
We have one of those. That's a good bit.
Whoa, look at your brain. Look at those
Yeah.
wheels turning.
All right. Well, then that's it. Anything else happened that night? I remember I was trying to preserve my energy. Unfortunately, I don't mean to complain, but I have a normal job that week, so I have to work and I want to get a good night's sleep. I do remember there was a little kerfuffle because Danger Dan said he wasn't going to make it, I take that back. He never did say he was not going to make it. It was assumed that Danger Dan was not coming.
That was the first time I heard that he wasn't coming was that text message. I was trying to process myself. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Never heard, like, huh?
Yeah.
And then he called me.
And then he
I'm
thought
in
it was
Milwaukee.
Yeah, he thought that was
Where do I
funny.
park?
I didn't think that was very funny.
He said he took a really hot shower and tons of green shit came out of
How
his
cute.
came out of his he shut the door and let the water run forever and just stayed in there for like 20 minutes and just let all this green shit just come out of his nose and ears and throat.
And we got
and he
to
was fucking
witness
felt fine.
the cleanest Danger
Dan
Dan
that ever was. If anyone's ever seen one in the wild, it's rare.
I didn't even put that two and two together.
He's like, I like this shower thing. I should do it more.
I'm just trying to wonder how he knows what's green slime and what is other fluids at the base of his shower.
Because he's still in his clothes, right?
Yeah, of course.
How do you work this shower thing?
Might as well do my laundry while I'm in here.
All right. Well, Danger Dan was going to. I thought he wasn't coming, and that put a little pressure on our responsibilities that we had for him. But it all worked out. Wednesday we did our event. We did another race at Elwood's, and I don't know if it was because of the weather, but I thought there to be, dare we say, 600 people. I mean,
72 boonie bikes at a bar Wednesday night.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people. That parking lot was twice as full as I've ever seen it. At least.
Yeah.
I mean, another like setting the precedence for the week or a gauge on how the week's gonna go, right? 72 boonie bikes. Oh my God, Scott.
You got one job. Scott. You have two tools, Scott.
I know.
What are you doing?
Scott.
Okay.
it out.
Two.
Right. It's getting comfortable.
Don't cross the red with the white. What? Okay, yes. Elwood's was great.
Elvis was awesome.
And I don't know, is there anything even left to say for that?
Nate's awesome. He's always been super welcoming to us. He's been with us since the place that was on Rogues
Rogues,
Gallery that was on Juno, right? Was that in the very first year?
Yeah. I remember Nate took a little warming up to me, I think.
Yeah.
And this is not a criticism. I think a lot of people take a little warming up to me because I'm a little bit
weird.
of an odd bird. But I remember our first thing, we were going to have an after party there. And he's like, well, I need to make sure people are showing up because I don't want to hire too many bartenders. And then I think that he worked with us and was like, holy crap, these guys are for real.
Yeah. But you knew him from hockey, right?
He's a great hockey player.
But he's also a motorcycle person.
Yes. He's a great
But
hockey
you knew
player.
him from hockey, not motorcycles.
That is true. I had no idea he knew anything about motorcycles.
Well, he's become a great partner and addition to the lineup.
Yeah.
The weekly lineup. That's
Well,
a
you
good
always
time.
count.
That's a
Always
great bar.
count on that bar being
Yeah.
a good, always a good place to go if you're new in town. It's a great place to start and be welcomed into the weekend.
How does he kit everyone out with Elwood's jerseys? How does that work?
He's very good about that stuff. He's
Yeah.
very good with optics and he's very efficient.
Yeah.
We could take
He's got a great branding style. His posters are always super spot on. Yeah, it's awesome.
a lot to learn from him.
Yeah.
I finally got a mosh pit there. That's been my goal for quite some time.
That was good. Yeah.
Because I know the answer to this, but why? What am I trying to do? Why do I have that kind of music and that kind of feeling?
You're making people feel
That's
something.
fun. Yeah, it's good times.
Again, they have to decide: am I going to go in the pit, or am I going to stand on the outside, or am I going to run as far away as I can?
I think it's a little simpler than that. I appreciate that philosophical perspective, but when I went to Daytona or we went to, we were in a couple pits together, Brian. People want to mosh around.
Yeah.
They're dudes, and they want to do that.
Yeah.
But Daytona doesn't give them an opportunity to do that.
Well, you just get kicked out of every bar that you try to do that in.
Correct. Sturgis doesn't allow you to do that, and I think that's what men. That's what I want to do. I guess when I'm around a bunch of men, is bump into them.
And women.
And women.
And
yes.
internal combustion engines running indoors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And loud music and whiskey.
And you see how everybody the unifying energy of the room is no one can get hurt, right? We're gonna run into each other, and you can see when someone falls, people are exaggerating picking them up.
Yeah.
They want someone to fall just to help them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To throw them up in the air, helping them up so fast.
Yes, and that energy was really apparent. Yeah, you had your little mini bike race, and I could hear murmurings of it wasn't fair, but let's squash that by having a mosh pit.
Yeah.
And let's get back to the fun.
That was a good time. The bikes are ripping too. Wow. I mean, I wish we had. I mean, I'm sure there's video somewhere of like the first years when they were just all rigid, like Tecumseh engines, right? With little 5-inch wheels on them and stuff. And like now it's just like telescopic forks and
not anymore.
disc brakes and wow.
Well, fortunately or unfortunately, some would say that we're the demise of boonie bikes.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it. You can make that argument.
It always goes that way.
Racing, that's what happens to racing. In racing, right?
Mm-hmm. Comes an arms race. With it, race anything.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, going through our week, Thursday. No, what?
We got to go back to Wednesday.
What happened on Wednesday?
Scrapper Dan happened on Wednesday.
Scrapper.
Yeah. Let's set the record straight here for those of you that, whether or not you know who Scrapper Dan is, you should.
Absolutely.
Just because.
Oh, he's the most genuine individual.
Let me just even set this up, because if anybody doesn't know who he is, why are you telling a story about someone I don't know? But I saw a picture of him on our Instagram page that Evan took of his face inside out, and you'll explain that story in a second. But to me, again, I'm not saying our show is better than any other show. I think the one show and Born Free and Cheap Thrills, they're all
Congregation.
They all have their own flavor.
Yeah.
Scrapper Dan's inside out face, I thought, articulated the flavor. It's not pretty, it's not sexy, but yet it's that so much more.
Yes.
Okay, tell me about Scrapper Dan.
We left the bar. Oh, it was because it was very nice out. We were on motorcycles.
This is on a Wednesday night. You
night.
left Elwood's.
Yeah,
It was like
Fraser
50
on the
degrees or something.
easily. Yeah.
Choppers?
Yep. Fraser's on the back of my bike, My buddy DL's riding the ULH, and then Danger Dan put Scrapper on the back of his bike. We have a blast riding down Water Street. It's warm. It's February. It's high on Mama Tried, and shit was great. It was really awesome. We get into the parking lot of Iron Horse, and we had left Jerry behind. We're like, well, is Jerry gonna get an Uber, or are we gonna go get him? So we had the bright idea to head back the other way. So I got on my bike, and Fraser got on the back with me, which he claims is the best Uber around the city, by the way. So if anybody wants to try it, let's go.
Chopper Uber.
And Scrapper jumps on his 50cc step-through Spree scooter. And Scrapper's 6'6", 230 pounds, big dude, little bike, and then, the littlest bikes always bite the hardest. Make it onto the bridge speed wobble, he drives his face clear into the pavement, and he's laying there, knocked the fuck out, looking dead. I seriously thought he was dead.
Like with his hands tucked.
Hands behind his back, head was down, out, feet were in, not out. Like fucking looking like he was dead. Yeah, scooter on top of him. So we turn around, get it. I call 911. People stop, and it's wild because it was only like 11:30, and the city was dead. There was nobody around. 2 cars stopped, and a couple people went past. And Fraser, wonderful individual that he is, has a lot of history with taking care of folks that are hurt. Luckily, because I'm fucking
no idea what to do.
Yeah, I don't have any history there. Got on the phone, whatever, got the ambulance there. He starts waking up, so he's talking, and Fraser said he was snoring when he came up on him when he was down there, so he just knocked himself out. But standing there at 11:30 on the phone at 911 was like, it could have started the weekend out horribly. But
Sure.
I think the best outcome that could have happened, and like I was laying there in bed that night, like figuring out which move am I gonna make based on how Scrapper, because I'm going to bed without knowing how he is, and I wake up to Scrapper's fine, we're out 2:30, no broken bones, didn't get hooked up by the cops, we're back to the Iron Horse. I'm like, fuck.
Best case scenario.
Okay, so
Best case.
So the ambulance took him.
Yes. Ambulance took him all the way to my house. Fraser went with him. Fraser basically...
Wait. They took him to your house?
Where the hospital is right next to my house. So they took him all the way to Freidert.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So like a half an hour ride. And he, Fraser, you should hear Fraser's story about Danger Dan, the ambulance, or I'm sorry, Scrapper Dan, the ambulance ride, the flirting with the nurses, the interview with the Milwaukee police. It's fucking epic.
Okay.
And it should come out of Fraser's face.
Okay.
If you're going to really want to experience it. Because, but then I'm like, all right, knowing Dan, he's going to be highly embarrassed. He's going to want to run because, he doesn't want to face anyone. But, man, he took it on the chin and was like the shining star of the week. And he continued to be Scrapper Dan and showing people a good time and, like, welcoming them and just adding to the environment.
Yeah. Thursday, both of his eyes were like swollen shut. And then Friday, one of them opened up. And then Saturday, the other one opened up.
Yeah.
He was in rough shape, man.
Rough shape, but man, he really pulled through.
He was a trooper.
He was.
He stayed out the whole thing.
He was, and he's one of the most genuine guys I know, and also maybe one of the most misunderstood guys that I know.
I agree.
You walk up on Scrapper Dan without having any Scrapper Dan prior, like, but he kind of fits the whole, like, well, are we going to do this or are we not?
Yeah.
Am I going to go the other way or am I going to try to figure it out?
Yeah.
So he fits right in.
Yeah.
He's certainly an outlier.
Yeah.
But that's why he's welcome in our fold.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, thank God Danger Dan is alive. I mean, Scrapper Dan is alive.
Yeah.
Danger too.
Domestic.
Danger too, man. The first time I saw Dan, that was the first time I saw like a down and out Danger Dan. I've always seen like happy,
upbeat, fucking
yeah.
stoked.
First time I saw him, like, oh shit.
This trip?
When he pulled up, I
Yeah.
went over to help him unload his bike, and he was in rough shape.
Yeah.
But he rallied too.
Thank goodness the Dans are okay.
Yep.
Okay?
The Dans rallied.
The Dans have rallied.
There were a lot of Dans this
There
weekend.
were.
Yeah, we were rolling 3 deep a majority of the time.
Yep.
Well, okay, so Thursday. This is only Thursday morning now in this timeline.
Yeah.
Imagine the roller coaster of emotions everyone's feeling. I played it safe, and I had a production meeting in the Harley Davidson Museum. My production meeting was over, and I happened to look down at the crowd, and I didn't have the energy to get connected.
Yeah, you just bailed.
I just bailed. I didn't want to have to get. I saw it was running great without me. And that's just what I want. By the way, that's really an important detail that I've learned about
At the
this
museum,
weekend.
you were at the museum.
At the museum, yes.
Right.
I really want to share in an experience like seeing the thrash band, seeing this event at Elwood's. I want it to be, arm in arm with the crowd, sharing in an experience that we've created. I don't want to walk out with a robe and it's about me. I want to get to a point where I can, the traditions we've put forth are happening on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like what happened at Fuel after that. Okay? For better or for worse. And when the history of this is all written, it was, maybe I shouldn't say this on camera, but it was my idea to make a ruckus. Okay? Maybe I overshot.
Legal department, are we in the clear on that?
But that's why I didn't go. Now, as much as I want to share in it and see it, I was safely in my hotel room on the Instagrams, because had I been there, I would have, I think, ultimately felt responsible or felt, Jeremy, can we do this? Jeremy, can we do that? And I think it's best that
I was there.
we don't. And,
Right in the middle of it all.
and
I saw the bike come in. I'm like, I'm gonna step outside.
okay.
Been there, done that, and then Mr. Burnout Man ensued, and I was out there like, kind of like, holy shit, maybe he should stop.
Yeah, because
Should
let it
stop.
go a while, right?
I was like, should I go in there and just turn his ignition switch off? Because this is fucked up.
It went on that long.
He popped his tire.
Dude.
He blew his tire,
Yeah, that was the goal.
Oh, I didn't
but he
know.
burned right through the wood of the bar, right?
The 3-inch wood down to the bar. It's
We're-
all fucked.
I was over there today.
Holy
Kristen and I have a plan on we're gonna patch that hole with some fun stuff.
Oh, really?
Fill it with some resin or something.
Yeah, just dump some resin in
Oh
there.
yeah, there's gonna be resin.
Right on.
Well, some highlights. Is that why the cops came? Or
I believe the cops came because of
The bike's cranking tunes outside.
all the new people that are in the building across the street.
yeah, well, that's inevitable.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was never an apartment building across the street before. We could do whatever we wanted.
Yep. Yeah, not anymore.
No, it's a
And the
different neighborhood now.
cops rolled in deep, and they're just, they were there to show presence, and a few things happened, and
Well, one of our photographers got arrested, and I think that should be in every reel from now on.
well,
It's in a lot of them.
What do you expect when you jump on the hood of a cop car? And then proceed to
And
run.
smile, yeah.
Well, I mean, again, you have to. Oh, now we know.
You're bouncing out the rev limiter.
That's the line. Got it. Check.
Hopefully, my wife does not check Instagram and saw any of that stuff because my son was DJing. He's 16, and I just see videos of him.
Just like come on, people! Like just turning it
Is
into
that all you got?
turning it into a frenzy.
Yeah.
Did you see the video or a picture that Logan took of the garage door open?
Yes.
You couldn't see the people smoking so much, and right below it says no smoking on the patio.
And you can see people trying to get a breath of fresh air.
Oh my
Yeah.
god!
Yeah, it was wild. There was a lot of smoke in there.
Well,
All right.
Well,
That was the night that I went to bed. I bet you I was in bed pretty early. I was in my room ready to go to sleep and get ready because the next day is Flat Out Friday. So I'm working on being in a better mental place by trying to relax. And I was ready to go to bed. And I remembered that we lit the bridge that night,
I saw it.
oh yeah,
and I wanted to go see it.
yeah.
So
The bridge lights were super cool.
I got up
on the home.
and we watched our little light show.
On the Hone Bridge.
And
You can sign up and they'll make a pattern for you to run the LED lights over the bridge.
Yeah.
And being a longtime Milwaukee resident, I was really proud of that.
Yeah.
That what this
Very
bridge
cool.
means, and I sat and had a little moment.
Yeah.
Right on.
It was great. And then I want to say that I picked up Scott and we went to a bar, quiet little bar. I had a drink. It was a very special time.
That was Thursday night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember that place,
Is it Chivas?
Chivas? It's
Chivas.
like, it's down the street from, remember where the old valley was on Pierce Street?
Mhm.
With the red and white painted sign?
No.
It's great.
Is it on National or like?
No, it's on Pierce.
On Pierce.
Yeah, it's on Pierce and like
Is that the place with the good burgers?
9th. No, that's on 13th.
Don't matter.
Other way. But this is just like a little bar. We walk in and it's
A Spanish,
yeah,
only.
yeah.
And it was great to not know anybody. And not to disrespect. I felt like I needed a timeout.
Yeah.
And that was a great timeout, and I really appreciate that.
It was a really cool old school bar. We went in there. I want to say it was the first Mama Tried, or it was
No, it's probably during
one of the Valley parties.
Yeah, had to have been then.
And we were walking to Sabbatic, and we stopped in there. A bunch of us did. When everybody was walking from the Old Valley to Sabbatic.
Sure.
But that was the last time I was in there, so that was, God, 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, it's a great bar.
All right. Well, we were ready for Friday. By the way, what are you guys doing Thursday? You're setting up Mama Tried? Bikes are coming in?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, we got in Wednesday, started up, got the merch, set up, got some bikes in. Just, it's nice to land softly like that and get in there and just unwind and get everything going. I mean, we've done it so many times over there that it's pretty streamlined. I mean, but having that extra day is great. And then it's like do a little on Wednesday, do a little bit more on Thursday, do all of it on Friday. And then this year, there was actually a whole setup Saturday morning in the rave, so people were there at like 4 or 5 in the morning, setting up all the vendors in the rave. But yeah, that's
If you're vending there, you're expected to be there that early?
only if you're in the rave.
Because they had a show that night, so they couldn't set up they couldn't set up
So
on
Royal
Friday.
Enfield.
Yeah, and that changes every year. I don't think last year
depending
we
on
had,
shows.
or last year I don't think we even used the rave,
No.
or the year before. But it kind of all depends on Joe's schedule, and he's very cordial and works around what we have going on. He understands the pressures, and again, the rave is top notch. We couldn't do what we do without them.
Yeah. They're
They,
awesome.
when you guys settled up at the end of the show, they were again happy.
Yeah, we
You
haven't.
think what you do is
we
great?
actually haven't fully settled yet. We're still working through that.
Going through the receipts,
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah,
paying people.
but yeah, I mean, I kind of take on the role of setting up Mama Tried, right, with the help of Becca, who nails it. She's talking
She's
about being
awesome.
like wired tight. I don't even know half the stuff she's doing, and she'll catch me. I'll catch myself like nervous texting her, and she's like, "I got it. It's good. I got it. Yeah, done."
Yeah.
Like,
Already did that.
yeah, it's all it's a little weird back and forth. I'll just wake up or I'll be in the middle of the night like, I forgot about that. We should do that. But then from her to her team, who basically who creates like this little pillow for people to land on when they get into town and they're vendors or they're builders or whatever. It's the nervous energy that you get when you're coming far and you're stressed out, and if you're new, you don't know shit, and she really helps kind of let them out, let a soft landing happen so that they can take a breath and like, okay, you guys are good, this is where you go. So she's done a really awesome job. And we have our setup crew, which is rad, and it keeps growing and getting better and better. I have a couple lifers that have been with me for some time now. The photographers, David Carlo and Kaz from Steel Dog, they have their system, so we kind of let things happen on their own. And again, they've been there year after year.
Kevin
Crutch has been pretty influential on knowing what to do
For
and
setup, yeah.
confident enough to make the decisions. This is the first year that I didn't touch a bike. I didn't put one bike on a stand this year. Those guys just took it upon themselves to do it, because they're confident enough, or, I give them enough rope to make that decision, which is awesome. Cause
Yeah.
I want to enjoy the weekend and like take it all in too. Right. And to know that I have a team like that can handle it and are just on it, Frazier and Jerry and
DL and scrapper.
DL actually I think spearheaded organizing the bikes and figuring out which bikes go. That's a big thing to do, And he
We
took
got a lot of compliments on that this
Yep.
year.
Yep.
You mean the way the show was laid out?
Yeah. I had to move a couple bikes, due to political issues, but I only think I probably moved maybe one bike.
Political because someone wants it to be more in the center.
Yeah.
Is the center, does it radiate out in quality?
Deserving. Sometimes there's more, some of them are more deserving.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, there's a little bit of politics there, but not a whole lot, not much at all. But I think my point was that he was confident enough to do that, and that's really cool because he's my buddy from a long time, and to give him that opportunity is rad.
He's proud
for him to take it.
Yeah.
I think.
Yep.
You said you're talking with Becca and you get really nervous about things, for lack of a better word. You have anxiety and angst. I have a question here, but I want to tell you a quick story. A couple weeks before Flat Out Friday, I was driving my car on a road trip and I was listening to the Super Bowl. And before the Super Bowl happened, they interviewed, one of the players, and he's like, I haven't been able to sleep for days. And I was like, haven't been able to sleep for days? It's a Super Bowl. What's the big deal? So you're like, I'm like, how hard is it to set up a couple of motorcycles in the ballroom? What's the big deal? What do you know about stress? Have you ever heard of Flat Out Friday? My point is, that's a very subjective mindset that I have about what stress is. So I ask you honestly, like, what are your biggest fears? What are you most nervous about? Is it because here's what I'm getting at. Is it learned? Are you actually going off of past nervousness of things that have failed, or are you really projecting on the future?
I care a lot about the experience that is given or provided or made accessible to everybody that comes into that building, whether you're a builder or a sponsor or a vendor, a patron or whatever, even a bartender. I care a lot about that. I want to make sure that room on Saturday and Sunday is the best it can be, not just setup wise visually, but like it has like this vibe to it, and people are positive and are actually immersing themselves in the weekend and not just going through the motions and yeah, this is a bike show, these are bikes, cool, but they're like owning their trip and owning their experience through that whole building and through the whole weekend. And that's special. That's not something that you can just create willy-nilly. It has to be like, we have to set that precedence, and it has to radiate from outside from there.
So you're nervous that you might whiff on that frequency that we were talking about.
Yep.
That you're going to miss the frequency.
Yeah, the frequency is the most important part.
But couldn't you be there Tuesday and already taste the frequency, like we were saying earlier? You know what I mean? Can't you check Instagram and feel the stoke building as people are landing?
But it's super different in that building than it is at the pre-parties. It just has its own thing.
My goal is to do all the work ahead of time. So as like Tuesday shows up and Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I have less to do. Mm-hmm. And I think in a lot of times promoters end up doing way more as it gets closer to the event, so I don't want to do it if it's going to end up like that. There's no reason why there should be that much stress. It is a pretty simple thing to do, and having been able to replicate it over and over, if you pay attention and you learn a little bit, you can do it comfortably and not have to freak out. And then you add the team on top of it, and mm-hmm. I sat on the couch on the rave stage for a majority of setup, and I kind of like ended up being like what I am at my own shop. Is I caught the stuff that fell through the cracks that I forgot, and I just handle them right there because I know all the other shit is getting handled.
Sure.
And answered the emails and text messages and
yep. Yeah,
phone calls.
This, forgot whatever banner. I don't know. It's a whole host of stuff that happens.
We're running late. Can somebody meet us here? Yep. Something happened to our vehicle. Blah blah.
Yeah.
Well, I said that at our closing dinner, that the show is easy. The race is easy compared to the brand or the frequency that we broadcast. That is what makes our event unique, and it's only solidified by another successful event. And so you'd think that this should get easier for us.
I think
Right,
it
if your
has. It
biggest
has
fear-
gotten easier.
I think it has.
If your biggest fear is the frequency not hitting, every successful event only cements it. It makes it louder.
Yeah. Well, I another thing too that I've been noticing what happens with the show is that it naturally filters out dick swingers or arrogant people that you don't want to hang around with anyways.
Sure.
Right? They feel uncomfortable. It doesn't work. If they're not friendly, like you're not welcome.
Yeah.
Right? If you're gonna be an asshole, go home. We don't need your $30 or we don't need your whatever $5,000 if you're a sponsor. And then so that the show just automatically does that, and it happens with the builders and the sponsors and then the patrons, and you just end up with a room that's rad. Everybody's positive and having a good time, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, the vibe. A lot of people commented on that. It's hard for me to, because we've been doing it for such a long time, but people come up to me just like the vibe in here is like amazing, and just super. The stoke was high.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's
taken
good.
me a
Then
long
that's
time
accomplished.
to figure that out. I think I'm still figuring out like what is Mama Tried? What do we do?
Yeah.
And just keep talking about it and feeling it.
Well, it's magic.
Yeah,
That sounds so generic, but
the hippie part.
It has
side
been,
of it.
yeah, it has been kind of magic. We're super lucky, and it's just like all the people that we're surrounded by and that help us out and do all the stuff that
we
take the pictures and the videos and help with everything. The sell tickets, sell merch. Becca, everybody.
I gave an interview last year that said there's 300 people that help us, and when I mean that, that's everybody. That's an honest estimate of how many people are working to help us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it only grows more and more. I mean, people are coming out because they care and they appreciate it and they see it and they want to be a part of it, and that's pretty cool.
Wait, we didn't talk about Flat Out Friday. Really?
Well, I like how we skipped to being esoteric. Did I use that word correctly?
I think so.
Is that from your new book?
There is I do have a new book, 100 Words to Learn to Sound Smart. I haven't quite tapped into it yet, but esoteric has been with me for a while.
Okay.
But because the question is, I keep asking myself, I like to work hard. I like to dig a ditch or stack wood in my house or chop wood, and then at the end of it, I have a cold beer and I say, and there's a reward feeling. At the end of this week, a successful event, objectively, how am I supposed to feel, right? And that's my deep esoteric question, and I the only thing I can grab onto is the success of the frequency.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
real.
The deepest pride. The authenticity. That's just another word that I start to develop. People are thirsty for authenticity, and we give that to them. That's what Flat Out Friday gives, and certainly that's what you get when you see a chopper that's hand built from Des Moines, Iowa.
Yeah.
Also, I think the stoke in the pits. I mean, I came late to Flat Out Friday on Friday, but when I walked in the afternoon, it was like 5:00.
Yeah.
See, because we're still on break.
Okay. Yeah.
And
so
and the stoke was super high.
measuring morale. You asked me just real quick about my time as Flat Out Friday. Just real quick, I picked up my sister, who is Flat Out Friday. She is the administration of Flat Out Friday Day Of. Pick me up at 5:30. She oversleeps. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. People do that. But I get to the arena and I can't park because my name's not on the parking list. So they won't let me unload my car or anything. I'm already vexed. I can't. I have the parking list and I can edit it. Oh, I can't edit it. Heather locked it. Okay, right. So I can't even get in, and I'm a little bit off. It's already my day is off.
You're already on your heels.
I'm already on my heels.
Can I go to the bathroom?
Can we go to the bathroom?
I guess.
We'll allow it.
They said
Call the front office. You guys don't have to stop on
Should I? I'm just going to tell you a story.
Okay, go on.
I'm going to tell you a story.
You know what I think is fun is that like Scott forgets to put himself on the white list. You forget to put yourself on the white list.
Well,
Yeah.
well, hang on. We're coming around to that. We were talking about Tyler, my student, and this is a weird clash of worlds. A student and what I should be saying in a public forum about about a student, but he did say he was going to organize a field trip with his class to come see practice at Flat Out Friday. Okay, Tyler, great. You just got to give me a list of names. Okay. All of a sudden I get a call. There's 30 people here, Jeremy, at the front door. And they're students of varying degrees of disability. A couple are blind, a few are in wheelchairs. It's quite an entourage. Hey, I needed you to tell me you were coming. I did. And I didn't realize. I looked at my email at 9:30. That morning he told me he was coming. Okay, so I missed the email. But that was a little bit, again, my whole day was off because my worlds had collided, the teaching world and the promoting world. It's hard to be Mr. Proc and Jeremy the promoter. You wouldn't think that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's hard for people to understand, like, all the day of things just don't work. And you try to, give people a heads up and like, really, let's not do this. Like, will you need a press pass?
Mm-hmm.
And then, they text you the day of.
Yeah.
It's like too late.
Yeah. And that, I don't want to, that is, what the behind the scene of a promoter. You would think that you and I and Warren are up in the box like the guys from the Muppets. that was not really like, yeah. Look at that guy. and we're laughing and enjoying and the fruits of our labor, right? And we're cheering, we're smoking these big fat cigars. That's not what happens. It's hey dude, this is a real text. Hey, if I'm so special, how come I don't have tickets? All right, I'll get you some tickets. Or hey, I'm gonna need 3 hotel rooms. Okay, I got it. I'm just gonna stay one night. I just need one night hotel. That's cool, right? Okay, well then that's right. I tell the hotel, oh no, cancel. You can't. It doesn't work. All of the hotel rooms, all of the wasted tickets. That really hurts me as a working class stiff.
Yeah.
And then so if you overshoot, you get stiffed, and then if you undershoot, you get stiffed, and it's really hard to gauge. And so Scott, I like your idea. Next year you got to fill out a form. You got to fill out a form. And that'll be my go-to answer. Can I get free tickets? You got to fill out the form. Can I go to a hotel room?
Yeah.
Fill out the form.
Because it's amazing how much time, I don't know about you guys, but like how much time I spend managing giving away free tickets.
Yes.
Like, because it's never like, here's the tickets. It's like, okay, where are the tickets? Okay, they're at will call. So I need your name. Okay, cool. So like, does it matter whose name I give? Well, yeah, they're for you. So you'll need to bring an ID. What's your last name? And then they'll be like, well, I was thinking about giving them to my dad. And it's like, okay, just forget it.
Yeah, I can't make it. Can you tell Will Call to put it under my neighbor's name?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, I can't do it. It doesn't work like that. It's not like we're walking around with wads of free tickets like back in the day, like when you're a Pepsi salesman in the 70s,
Yes.
and you're just handing out free Summerfest tickets or whatever. It's not like that. It's like everything's digital and it's 3 phone calls to get like one thing changed. And it's like, I'm exhausted by how much people want to alter their gift.
I share that with you, Scott, because Warren has no idea. Warren goes to Becca and has Becca handle all of those residuals.
That's not 100% true. I do get I do get all that because day of, you're basically like, I don't want to be bothered. I don't care. And it's just shit to fall through the cracks, right? Like I probably said, yeah, you could have tickets, but it always helps maybe when you call me a week before, not noon on Saturday when the show is happening. Like come on.
Yeah.
Just think a little bit ahead of time, please. I think a lot for you guys, so
yeah.
No, I hear you.
Some for me.
Yeah.
And so I want it on the record here. I did go there, and my name was on the list, and I bought a Mama Tried ticket, and I have it in my wallet as a badge of honor for all of those people.
Thanks, Brock.
Asking me for free shit because I had the text. Hey, Warren, my name's not on the list. Delete. I'll just buy it.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
Your name wasn't on the list, by the way.
So no, don't worry about it.
Just like it wasn't on the parking list, like we forget about ourselves.
Yeah, you forget about ourselves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you envision I've been to the rave with you a few times, and it's mostly no one's ever there. Hey, Scott, Warren, I'm at the front door.
Yeah.
That's how you envision it in your head.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
forgetting it's cheek to jowl in there.
That's just part of being a promoter, though, right? Like you
Yeah.
got to take it. That it's gonna happen.
Just-
it doesn't matter. It will
yeah.
happen every year. It's,
No, I get it. But I'm just so there's two questions that I guess I'm searching for is what do you hold your how should you feel after the event, and then how can I enjoy it during the event? You know what I'm saying? And then the final question is why do it? You know what I'm saying?
We got 3 hours. Therapy couch.
How should I feel afterwards? You ever read that book to your kid about having your bucket, like you have a bucket, your emotions are a bucket, it's full or not. You want your full bucket by the end of the week. You want to have felt all the emotions, have been through the ringer, stressed, happy, you want to feel it all, and then proud, I guess, at the end. That's what I would want to feel, and that's how I feel.
I like that.
Yeah. That's
What about
good.
you? You have a hard time enjoying yourself during the week, and I've seen you grow through over the past couple of years.
Well,
and
here's what I was thinking. I've been chewing on this. I'm searching also for authenticity. I want to have real conversations, and it's hard when you're the leader, for lack of a better word, or
Sure.
when everyone knows your face. And people know my face maybe because of the podcast or because they're wearing a motorcycle helmet and I'm talking to them and I don't know them. I can't see people.
Mm-hmm.
So I get a lot of hellos and I don't know who they are. And I also have early onset dementia. So there's that going for me. But I'm searching for just authentic conversation. So hearing a deep story about what the race means to people, I like that. I like to share and exchange in that. But most conversations are not like that. They're generally, very superficial conversations, and they're constant. They're back to back to back. You turn your head, you turn your head, you turn your head in these constant superficial conversations. Is that
Yeah.
fair?
Sure.
And that ultimately is very unrewarding. However, I made an effort to what I call bit mining. I'm looking for someone to connect with, and I made a couple connections. One of which was Pat at Lead Sled.
Oh,
Love
really?
Pat. He's a great
Yeah,
dude.
he's awesome.
We had a good bit. I'm just going to share it with you
Yeah,
real
let's hear
quick.
it.
It's not particularly exciting when you articulate it, but first off, he's hard to bit mine because he's a really bright dude.
Yeah.
He's not a superficial kind of surface guy, right? He sees past you. He's got a wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair to say?
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know the guy that well, but I know he has a wisdom. We were riffing on something, and he made a comment about, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to lose friends. and I said, say that again. What did you just say? And he said it again, and both him and I were like, whoa, that's heavy. We should put that on a shirt. I'm here to lose friends. And we just sat on that like a proud baby mama, like on an egg. Like this phrase had come out of us.
I surround myself with my whoopee or my baby blanket, right? My guys,
Sure.
my
yeah,
girls, and that's my protection from those superficial conversations, right? You got to get through the team in order to get to me. And by the time you get to me, it's not superficial anymore.
Yeah. Sure. I appreciate that. I was mentioning I'd like to maybe get a handler. Is that
You
arrogant?
need a couple.
Just someone to pay to hang out with me and get me a beer. And
You don't pay them. These people are
My
like your
friends.
confidants.
I know, but here's the problem.
Friends.
I've hired everyone I know for Flat Out Friday.
Well, pick a couple of them and don't hire them. Like bring them on as your right hand.
Scott, how do you enjoy yourself the day of?
It's hard for me because I'm an introvert to start with, and the older I get, the more introverted I get.
Mm-hmm.
So I can sack up and all right, let's fucking do this, and I do enjoy it. But it's a lot for me, and I realized last year that I can't party and do it. Like I have to choose.
Yeah.
So I can have a couple drinks during the day, but I can't go out all night and stay at the parties. I got to go home. I got to get some good sleep. and wake up the next morning, have, a half an hour in my house drinking coffee, sort of getting myself together before I get to the show, and then you start like shaking hands and saying hi to everybody. So I do enjoy it. I don't mind just walking around by myself and just seeing who I bump into.
Yeah, same
it's
here.
amazing how many people I didn't get to talk to. But I also met a whole bunch of random people because, I have a look. I'm pretty easy to pick out of a crowd. So it's like, so people were always coming up to me like, hey, you don't know me, but blah, blah, blah. And so my favorite thing is to ask them about them and where they came from and how they ended up being at Mama Tried and
Yeah, me too.
what kind of shit they like and what they're into. And I've had some really great conversations.
I think that's another reason why the show and the race is the way that it is because all three of us are so different in those regards, right? Like I hyper focus on the mechanics, you hyper focus on making sure that we're, meaningful in talking to people and we're thinking of other people, which through my past I've had a hard time doing, and Proc, you have a way of bringing weird folks together that makes sense, and I don't understand how it works. But
well, you just said we're three very different, and listening to you talk, I think we're very much the same. I didn't know this about you, Warren. You said at the very beginning of this podcast that you used to drink because you were socially. You had a word. You were just uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's social lubricant.
And Scott's admitting to the same. He's more of an introvert, and maybe I didn't know that I was. Because when I see you, if I'm standing on the second level of the Mama Tried on the balcony and I look down and you can see Warren in his sexy hat and the way it's almost like you're floating across, your legs aren't moving. You should wear a white robe, And
Gandalf.
And the coolness about you, the way you work the room and you shake hands, you never would know that you are maybe struggling with being social. Whereas you see me tiptoe walking on my tiptoes with my head down, you're like, that guy's got a serious problem. But I didn't know that we all shared that this is difficult.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily enjoyable. It's very rewarding, and I like your use of the word feeling proud. But enjoyable in the sense of like winning a kickball game, it is not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard for me to. I mean, I was wandering around up in the balcony, just like confused, looking at everything and being proud of it, but being confused is like, and I don't know how to explain it. Just the feeling that came over me, like what the fuck is going on in here? It's just like, I don't know, and I have weird moments. Like it was 9:15 Saturday morning. I got out of my Uber. Got my coffee. I'm walking down the sidewalk, and there's nobody around. I'm like, wonder if anybody's going to show up today. By the time I got to the second floor, it went away, and it was fine. But it's like, it's that those thoughts are in there, and feelings are in there, and I don't know.
It's awesome. There's also at the core of it is the motorcycle thing, and it's like you walk in that room and you see all the bikes, and it's like I still have this 6-year-old fascination with just like, every time I see them, walking into the pits on Photo Friday, walking into the ballroom, even walking the first time, like on Thursday when you walk into the, when the bikes are being loaded in on Thursday morning, and there's only a handful right at that moment.
Yeah.
There's still not that many yet. But even then, I'm just like,
yeah,
it's so exciting. It's just like that stuff. It just never, ever, ever fails to completely overwhelm me with excitement. And,
that's great.
Yeah, and I like that feeling.
I like that about you, because I'm a little jaded, with motorcycles. I see them a lot, and work with them a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So by the time, I think that's why it's so social for me that
Yeah.
weekend is like, I could give a shit about a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, another difference.
Yeah. Well, I saw my buddy Tim from the shop who, he still just works on stuff. He's, sort of retired. He closed the shop. So he just takes on customers that he, wants to work on their bikes. And he was helping move in Wade's side hack with a couple other guys. And, he and I go way back. We used to race together, hang out together. I mean, we were just like 24/7 best friends for a decade at least. And I was like, they got the bike all set up and he's coming downstairs and he's like, dude, let's hang out. Let's catch up. I haven't seen you in a while. Let's go out and get dinner and get some drinks. And I was like, cool. I'm like, are you coming back? And I said it knowing that he's going to say no. Because that's even when we were best friends and racing all the time and the shop was open and we were doing rocker box, he hated it because he's around bikes all the time.
Yep.
And so, you know, he was like, no, dude, I'm not coming. No, I am not coming anywhere near this place. And I don't blame him. You know, it's like for people that when you're around it all the time, it's a different sort of thing.
It's like my dad, right? But I learned from my dad early on that I don't want to have that feeling. I enjoy motorcycles too much to get to that point to where like making it my full gig and eating, sleeping, drink, you know, I don't do that.
Right.
But you know, I'm still deeper in it than you are, and I still do get that, you know, just over it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's I still really really enjoy motorcycles, and they're not going anywhere. I'm gonna
for sure
be kicking. I told somebody over the weekend that I'm gonna ride till I'm dead, even if I have to put a third wheel on. And I said it out loud, and I said, "Holy shit, I'm getting old." And if Bob would have heard me say that, my father-in-law, he'd just be chuckling and like,
That's awesome.
But it's true. I need the wind in my face and, you know, knees in the breeze, and I don't care how, like, if I got to ride a fucking wave runner with.
Maybe that's just something your father missed too. To be present in his motorcycle journey, to stop and take a ride, be with some good people. He was just into the mechanics and the constant failures that those give you.
Yeah, well, just trying to run a business and getting,
yeah.
you know, just
Support your family.
barely getting enough to do it, and using the motorcycle for that. You know, you lose a lot of your love for it.
I don't know about you guys, but I feel like also another thing that happens at Mama Tried and at Flat Out Friday is there's not really that many conversations about technical aspects of bikes. Like, you know, if you're standing next to a builder and you're like, oh, I really like how you did that, they'll say like, oh yeah, I found this piece and blah, blah, blah. But it's not like people don't go into the deep stuff about bikes. It's like we talk about bikes for like 30 seconds and then we go off and start talking about life.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
you know, and that's what I really enjoy. The thing that's funny is that Flat Out Friday, all those racers they're just so fucking wound up. You know, I'll see somebody that I know from on the street in Milwaukee, and they're in there racing, and I'll be like, hey, how's it going? And just expect them to say like, oh, cool, you know, the new job's going great, and, you know, I was remodeling the kitchen at the house, you know. But they're just like, dude, my fucking tire pressure was down into my second heat. You know, I was just like, I think my chain was loose, but then I was like checking my valve pressure, and it just wasn't, you know, and I'm just like, whoa, okay. I'm gonna go. I need a soda. I'll be back. You know.
Yeah, I hear you. Who are you telling?
Yeah.
Well, let me go off on that just a little bit, and I want to sum up how Flat Out Friday went, and then we're gonna summarize this because we got to be close to an hour. We have to break for a commercial break.
We're way
We're
past.
an hour 15.
Okay,
I got like to the car is about a minute.
Okay.
6 minutes.
Okay. So just listen, during I'm learning to be more mature about this and handling the stress. But during Flat Out Friday, there was a couple problems at the beginning. And I asserted myself and I got involved. In both of them, I screwed them up. The specifics of it are kind of irrelevant, but two racers missed their heats directly because of my problem, trying to fix a problem. And Bridget came to me and said, are you going to be doing this job all night, or am I going to be doing it? And I said, you're going to be doing it. I'm sorry I got involved. And just then, hey, so-and-so needs a headset. I gave up my headset.
Boom.
And I said, I'm only causing problems here, right? I'm only nervously making things worse. So I kind of just let it happen.
Yeah. You should be you should be up in the
All
box,
right.
man. Just hanging out.
Yeah.
You should be figurehead, right? You do all the work ahead of time. Why do you need to be down there? The team's got it.
Well, let me criticize our show one time. I think it went about 45 minutes too long. And had I been on headset, I could have sped it up a little bit.
Sure.
And we've been out of there at 8:30.
We'd have been out of there about 9:45, 10 o'clock.
Sure.
So that's just one criticism that I have about not being on comm, but enjoying it much more for sure. By the way, and I also checked my pedometer that day. How many miles do you think I walked?
No idea.
21 miles.
Damn.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, 47,000 steps.
What? Are you fucking for real?
Heather did 35,000.
Really? No.
Holy shit.
A majority of those are in a tight little circle.
Yeah.
Probably.
How many of those were on your heels?
No,
Not just on your toes.
Just on my toes. Well, all right. So just real quick then.
That's
We
amazing.
have Portland coming up. I'm sure we'll be talking about that shortly. I think I'm just assuming we all took this week off to just kind of, what's the word here? now?
Process and decompress.
Give me another word. Give me a bigger word. Ruminate? Is ruminate?
All right. That book?
we were just kind of glowing in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Just
but,
need some silence.
Well, yeah, I needed to nurse a cold, and like I think my body just shuts down and says, "All right, dude, slow down."
Dude, I think anecdotally, there's like half the people I know are sick
Sure.
this week.
Yeah.
It's everybody. There was a lot of hugging and handshaking
Yeah.
and partying and
Yeah.
love making.
I do have to say one thing that came out of that I was genuinely surprised and happy about is that normally my wife and I are at each other's throats, and we made it through with flying colors, and had a wonderful Saturday night, and Monday came and we were still high-fiving, and
That's great.
Wow.
yeah, super awesome.
kick ass.
Yeah,
What do
so-
you what do you think?
I think that Stacy is in a position now with her new job, and she's busy, and she realizes that, we were just in different stages of our life, and I wasn't paying attention, and she was harping on me, and I should have been paying attention a shitload more than I was. But now she sees. I think she understands now, and I understand a bunch more on the other side of it. So it's teamwork, I guess.
I'm only laughing because we get a little marriagey. We get a little too loose. I think with our marriage. My wife said she saw this and she said, "I'm so glad you don't talk about our marriage." And I was like, "Don't go back and watch any of the
Episode
other
35.
footage."
No, I think it's good.
But
I'm pumped.
I think I'm not diminishing that. I think you just said it. Are we doing this or not? And that's how a marriage has to be.
Yeah.
Are we doing this or not? Are we? Because you gotta want it.
You gotta want it.
Yeah.
And I had just made a mention about. I didn't know this. I don't know. Maybe you guys knew this, but I'm such a prude. 10 year took me to realize there's a river of sex flowing through the Mama Tried show. I had no idea. No idea.
I didn't know until you said something.
I'm learning it right now.
You just have to dip your toe in, and the current can sweep you away. Suddenly you're in a hotel room with a couple people.
Woo.
Oof. All right.
Pretty good way
Episode
Let's
68,
end that.
the sexuality
Let's
of the
end that
Mama
one.
Tried show.
We're coming back on 64. 63. Okay.
69.
Well, hey, clap it up. Good job, guys. Good job. Good job, Brian.
Good job, Brian.
Yeah.
You put forth a great deal of effort. I don't know when you slept. You were creating videos
The energy
in
is,
the middle of the night,
all
and
night.
is infectious.
Yeah.
no. Before you turn that off, I just want to say thank you because there's a lot of proud moments that stand out. You chasing motorcycles around
That's right.
promises with the camera was one of them, but the second one was the crash reel that you made Friday night. Fuck, dude,
Yeah.
amazing.
Were you
It was-
pinning? Were you like marking?
I have a notebook.
Ah.
So I was in the corner. Every crash, I'm like, there it is. There it is. There it is.
Nice.
Damn,
All that shit.
that was a lot, but that's a lot to keep track of. Plus, your son was racing, so
Oh, yeah, he was killing it, too.
yeah.
So,
So
shout out to Katie Schnickel for being track mom to
Yeah.
everybody.
Good
all right,
mom.
That's awesome. Oh, and shout out to Max Heyer for winning 2 different races.
Proud dad. He showed up.
Man.
Showed out.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Well, double clap.
All right, yeah, we're doing another clap.
All right.